Hello, and welcome to the CX Innovators podcast produced by Networld Media Group. I'm Judy Mottl, editor of Retail Customer Experience. I'm really excited today as we have a great guest bringing CX Insight from Australia. So Briony Oayda, I am sorry, as I said, I would not probably get that right, is here with us. She's managing director at Bondi Active and Between the Flags. Between the Flags is a lifestyle franchise that has 3 locations surrounding the world famous Bondi Beach. And the stores are a go-to destination, not just for tourists, but for locals. So thanks for being here, Briony.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me.
So let's start a little bit with your role as managing director, what your typical day is, and kind of how it plays into the CX strategy for the brands.
Yeah, sure. So I am managing director of both, Between the Flags and Bondi Active. I think you kind of nailed what Between the Flags is, but then Bondi Active is also an activewear brand that we launched a few years ago. My standard day is I get up way too early, love to squeeze in a workout and a walk with my dog before work. And then my work day is kind of split up between either being in the office supporting my team, whether that's across design, production, marketing, operations, and then trying to spend as much time in stores as possible. So as you mentioned, we've got 3 Between the Flag stores, and we also have a Bondi Active store. So just making sure everything there is running smoothly with staffing, merchandising, etc. And then having a little bit of time working from home, given we're in an open plan office, need some focus time sometimes. After my work day, you'll normally find me either mostly having a quiet night at home, honestly, sometimes out with friends, but love to have an early night and be ready for the next day.
Yeah, well, retail's a tough job these days, so it's pretty much all encompassing, right? So Between the Flags at some point was facing a challenge. It was all about how to sell more product, but in a small space. And from what I understand, you had boots on display in the stores, but you couldn't show all 45 plus styles, right? As there was only I think 6 feet of available display space. So from what I read, you partnered with digital retail platform Tutch. So can you kind of talk about the challenge you were facing and maybe how you were dealing with it before Tutch, and then how you learned about Tutch and why you brought them in?
Yeah, for sure. So basically at the time it was a Between the Flags only business, and Between the Flags is heavily reliant on the tourism industry. And at that time, we found, because of the Australian dollar, our core customer, so I think European and American tourists, weren't coming to Australia as much. But we did see an influx in Chinese tourists coming into Australia. And those Chinese tourists were way more interested in kind of sheepskin products, so think sheepskin boots, Ugg boots, as opposed to our standard product mix, which was T-shirts, shorts, caps. And now, as you were kind of mentioning, the problem with Ugg boots is, A, they're much more expensive as a stock to carry, but they're much bulkier. And our stores at the time were 70 metres squared with minimal backroom space. So being able to have all the different Ugg boots you wanted to have on offer just wasn't really feasible to us. So what we did was we went to the 3 biggest Ugg boot manufacturers in Australia and got as many samples as we could from them. And then we had them on display in store. So customers could then touch, feel, try on, see all the different options. But then we enlisted Tutch and got the screens going to be able to allow them to then make that purchase in store without physically having the stock there. So those purchases would then go straight to the manufacturer, who would then drop ship and send it to their homes, which kind of was an added bonus to tourists because they didn't have to then lug Ugg boots around Australia when it's peak summer. They can just have it sent home to them immediately. And yeah, it worked really well for us. It increased our sales dramatically because we could have so much more stock on offer, and it also decreased our stock holding and risk, really.
So the technology also offers customers, I think, recommendations and in some way provides you guys with some data about customers and maybe what they're looking for. Can you talk a little bit about that and maybe how important that is for you?
Yeah, 100%. That was, yeah, super valuable to us. So one of the things we were able to track was like customer pathways. So what products, what collections they were most likely to go to or most interested in. And then we could use that to kind of reconfigure our home screen, so the main screen you see when you're looking at a touch screen, so that they could get directly to those products or collections, which just made it a faster pathway to purchase and increased their likelihood to purchase because it was easier for a customer to find what they want. And then additionally, we were able to understand like what sort of features were most important for each product for customers. And given that the screens have you can completely reconfigure them, we could then put those features in prime position next on that product page, so that it would be really easy for either sales associates to help customers and show them exactly what those features are really easily, even if they didn't have a deep understanding of the whole product range, or for customers to even see it themselves.
Because I was going to ask about the whole role that the store associate plays. But I want to touch base on two things. Because earlier you mentioned, the revenue. You had a 64% increase in revenue within the first quarter of using this technology. And you're seeing an overall 28% decrease in stock holdings, which is product in the store, right?
Yeah,
In
exactly.
terms of inventory. So I was wondering how, which way you went about kind of bringing the store associate into that display interaction, because not every customer kind of knows what to do, right?
Yeah, totally. So I think the main thing that we were able to do with them is, it's so easy to use those kiosks. So once a sales associate had used them a couple of times, they're able to act as experts immediately. And I think that was the most beneficial thing for us with the screens, is it made sales associates much more confident and able to, show customers exactly the information they needed, because they had all the information they needed just at their fingertips.
Yeah, to me, it would make the store associate's job, more rewarding too. The customer's being rewarded, but also as an associate to be able to help quicker and faster.
Yeah.
That always makes the day a little easier, right?
100%.
So, I want to talk a little bit about today's shoppers, the people who are coming in, and what they're expecting in terms of a customer experience, and how you have adapted, I guess, CX across between the Flag and Bondi Active.
Yeah, sure. So, I think shopper expectations have changed dramatically. I think with online at the moment, with that being so easy to use, when a customer does come into store, they really expect that kind of elevated experience. They want it to be easy, they want it to be seamless, and they want sales associates, like we were just talking about before, to really act as experts. I think we've been able to do this in a few ways. So especially with using the touch screens, we can use touch screens as point of sales as well. So having them situated around the store, and they also don't take up as much space as a traditional point of sale, right? Because it's just one flat screen on the wall. But having them dotted around the store, especially for peak periods, instead of having one traditional point of sale, it's minimizing wait time, so people aren't lingering and having to wait. It also helps if their sales associates are busy, customers can start their journey and engage with the screen themselves, though ideally you would have a sales associate with the customer working with them on the screen to help them find what they want much more quickly. So I use the example often for Between the Flags. We have normally 15 to 20 men's t-shirt styles in store at any given time. And some of those styles may have broken sizes, right? So if a customer comes in and they want a size large t-shirt, it's so much easier to take them to a touch screen, filter by large t-shirts, and show them everything that's then available, and they can pick the designs they're interested in from there, as opposed to trying to go and find any t-shirt within the store and show it to that customer. I think there was another thing I wanted to hit on with this question. But yeah, I think it's about having a quicker, more easy experience, and then that expertise. So particularly for Bondi Active, being able to outfit and give more product information is kind of what customers are after in terms of a more detailed and more information about that product.
So if we talk a little bit about the interaction at the kiosk, say I come in and the T-shirt I want, isn't available in my size. Is there the capability then to order it from the kiosk in my size and have it delivered, shipped?
Not in our stores at the moment, but there is the ability to say it's not in your size at this store, but we do
Right.
have it at our other store and we can kind of
Oh,
get
all
it
right.
sorted for that customer.
All right, that's great because, that's one of the things that makes a customer say, oh, yeah, right?
Yeah, can't
So
be more
that's
connecting.
that's a great feature.
Yeah.
Do you have any like tips or advice to other retailers who might be looking to solve some of the challenges you've solved, or any lessons learned during the whole kiosk tech deployment?
Yeah, I think it's just about understanding who your customer is and what they actually want from your brand and how to engage with your brand. So I think it's quite interesting running both between the Flags and Bondi Active because those customers want to engage with those brands quite differently.
Right.
And it's about trying to leverage what you have to make sure that customer is satisfied. So for Between the Flags, they're normally a tourist who has come to Bondi for the first time. English may not be their first language. They enter
Right.
Between the Flags for the first time and it's a really busy store, and they want to be able to easily find what they need and quickly get out and enjoy the rest of their holiday. While a Bondi Active customer may be more interested in having more FaceTime with a sales associate, understanding more information about what type of crop for a specific workout and what to wear with that crop, and want more engagement and more information from that experience. So it's just about making sure that you can kind of leverage, for us, it's the screens to make sure you're servicing those customers appropriately.
Wow. I mean, it sounds like a dynamic, solution that's benefiting everybody.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you being here, Briony, and sharing your insight and, offering up some real time, intellectual data to people who are thinking about doing these kind of technologies and not realizing maybe how the ROI can be very widespread. So thank you for being here. For our viewers and our listeners, please subscribe. And if you're wanting to catch up on past podcasts, just hop on to retailcustomerexperience.com, look for the podcast page link in the top nav bar. And while you're on the site, check out our agenda for our upcoming ICX Summit happening this September in Charlotte, North Carolina. And Briony, I know it would be very hard for you to come from Australia for it, but I hope that one day we can, you'll be traveling maybe in the US and we can connect.
Awesome. I would love to, but it might be a bit of a push. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for being here.